The Alldus podcast is brought to you by Alldus International, supplying your expert AI and digital transformation staffing needs across the US and Europe. Today, you are listening to our AI in Action series, where leading minds in AI from across the world share their story, success, and advice. AI in Action cuts through the hype and explores the true impact of artificial intelligence in our world today.
You're listening to AI in Action. I'm your host, JP Valentine. Our guest today is Jeff Schmitz. Jeff is the Chief Human Resources and Marketing Officer for Zebra Technologies. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thanks, JP. Happy to be here.
So Jeff, interesting background. Your title might be somewhat misleading based on your expertise in all things tech. So let's start with a bit of background of yourself, your journey in technology from where you started to what's led you to where you are today.
Yeah, an interesting, circuitous route to this kind of unique combination of running HR and running marketing here at Zebra. I would say that first and foremost, I'm an engineer, right? So I'm an engineer by background. I have a master's in computer science. And what I found as I matriculated through my career is three things led me along the way, right? One was, I think to get to the position I'm in now, hard work was essential. But the second one that really led me along the way was this idea of being curious, trying to understand, even as an engineer, what was the business we were in? How did we make money? Who do we compete with? And that kind of launched me out of engineering into marketing and general management eventually. And from there, took a role here in 2016 as the Chief Marketing Officer. And after about 5.5 years of doing that and being a person that really focuses on people and organizational effectiveness and process, I was asked to pick up the HR function. And it's really been a great experience for me. It's been fun to do something different. Continuous learning has been kind of a hallmark of my career. And while it's a unique combination of things, I think it's one I feel pretty well equipped and energized about doing.
And your background as an engineer and in technology is obviously very relevant for the work that you guys do as a company at Zebra. But for anyone who's not familiar with Zebra Technologies, not come across them before, tell us who you are. Tell us all about Zebra Technologies, what you do as a business, mission of the organization, and then we can jump into the technology, the data, the AI behind the scenes.
When we think about Zebra, I think the fundamental way to think about us is, first of all, we are hiding in plain sight of your daily lives. And where we exist is we exist to create a performance advantage for those on the front line. How do we do that today? And we'll talk more later, hopefully, about how we're going to do that in the future. Is our base business has to do with scanners, like you'd see at a retail outlet or a grocery store or a supermarket. When you see a scanner, whether it's a scale scanner or a handheld scanner, we sit in the front line of that retail associate while they're doing things like checking you out. So we're part of key workflows. We all started a company doing barcode printing. That's where the name Zebra comes from, those black and white stripes. Again, when you think about barcode printing, think about in a retail environment, you may be printing out new price shelf labels, as an example. You could be printing information for delivery of packages if you were an e-commerce player or a transport and logistics player. Or you could be printing out barcodes in a hospital for admission bans so that people can scan those to make sure the right person gets the right medication care at the right time. That's the printing area of the business. But our biggest area of business is mobile computing. So you may be in a retail store or in a hospital or seeing someone deliver a package and you see something that looks like a cellular phone, but it has a scanner on it and it's ruggedized for business, built for business to produce great outcomes and workflows. That those devices are typically Zebra devices. And we're number one in all three of these key categories. And the purpose, again, is to drive a performance advantage for those in the front line. We're in key workflows you see every day in your daily life, as I said before. But where we're going, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this some more, is it's one thing to be part of critical workflows. The next step for us is how do we help define how work is done going forward? And that's why we've invested in a number of new areas. And I think those will be really interesting for your audience, JP.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I know you and I were speaking about this previously, the advancements that you guys are making into AI and robotics and machine vision. So take it away. Tell us all about the exciting work that you guys are doing to stay current and on the bleeding edge of AI and technology.
Yeah, so first and foremost, I have the foundation of our business is the core we talked about. And we've been really successful, and that's created an opportunity for us. And we feel like we've earned the right to then expand into new areas. And three of those areas are places we've invested a lot of money organically and inorganically. And I think they're going to help us, again, launch ourselves from being part of critical workflows to really defining how work is done in the future. And I'll hit on all three. The first one is retail software. So today, our devices are used in many, and I'll say most retailers use our devices, like our mobile computers, printers, and scanners, but the mobile computers specifically, but they often use third-party software or self-developed software to help them manage the two biggest investments that retailers have, and that is store associates and inventory. So we've built some of our own software and bought a number of software components to bring together a world-class retail software suite that can help you manage your workflow. So think about time management, scheduling people, task management, tasking out individual associates, what tasks they need to complete in a given day, and do predictive analytics, information related to a store so you can deploy resources when you see something or can predict that something bad's happened. I'll give you an example of that. Sometimes at a store, you may look across a footprint of a store, let's say a convenience store, and you may find, why is this store not selling any Diet Coke where they normally sell 3 cases an hour, and maybe all the other stores seem to be selling well at the time? What's going on? And you may then task out and send a task out to an individual associate in that particular store, say, go look at aisle 6, something's going on. No, we're not selling any Diet Coke. And they may discover when they go there, and we can do this through predictive analytics, well, guess what? There's no Diet Coke there. Or it could be somebody spilled something and nobody's willing to take the leap over the puddle to get to the other side to pull the Diet Coke off. But in any sense that we're creating that environment where we can do predictive analytics, making the store be more productive, helping them generate revenue. We also do other things like helping secure communications occur in those stores. So using the devices for secure messaging, push to talk, etc. So that's the one area we're starting to redefine work. That's the idea of software, particularly retail software. The second area is this idea of robotics. So what we've seen in the warehouse, in a place that we do a lot of business, and there's more and more growth of warehouses everywhere, is that number one is in the warehouse environment, you're seeing a growth of warehouses, but you're also seeing a lack of labor. So in this kind of post-pandemic or nearly post-pandemic era, you're seeing a lack of labor, a need to train labor during high peak times, like around the holidays and such. And the idea that people alone can't do all the picking, packing, and shipping in a fulfillment center. They need to be augmented, and that augmentation comes through the idea of robots. And it's not just robots to help in those matters, but it's robots working alongside people, taking away a lot of the walking that exists in a warehouse. And that's where a lot of the time is spent in a warehouse, is walking. If we can eliminate that walking by augmenting picking or moving materials around, we can save a lot of time and help augment some of that labor shortage that you're seeing today. I would also note in this area, we do a number of vision studies, and in our recent warehouse vision study, what we saw is 92% of warehouse associates believe that technology advancement will make the warehouse environment more attractive to workers, which is important as we try to draw more workers into that field and where we're really critically short on resources. The third area is this idea of machine vision. So I can best describe this as, think about in a manufacturing environment, how do we make inspection faster, easier, and more efficient? And inspection today happens more through machine vision than any other if you want to have it done quickly and efficiently. So imagine a number of soda bottles rushing across a conveyor belt. How do I ensure they're all filled? I can take a capture of effectively a photograph and analyze that, say it's full, or a stamped part. How can I make sure that it's in spec, etc. So these are applications of machine vision that are really important to revolutionize the way that manufacturing is going to work going forward. So those three areas are areas that we've invested organically and inorganically to really, again, redefine how work is done, both in retail software, in robotics in the warehouse, and machine vision in the manufacturing environment.
You are listening to the Alldus podcast. When you're looking to scale your team, or if you are interested in showcasing your company in a future episode, reach out today. Or if you're in the market for a new role, visit our website to view open positions, www.alldus.com.
Great to hear how Zebra is still staying on the cutting edge of technology with these organic investments. But there's also been some excellent acquisitions of advanced technology to further support the innovation into AI. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about some of the acquisitions of specific AI and machine learning technology?
Sure. We've made acquisitions actually in all three of these key areas, and I'll just briefly go through a number of them because they've all been important. Let's start where we started previously in retail software. So three key acquisitions here that I think are worth noting. One is our first one in this area was actually Profitect, which gave us prescriptive analytics. The second significant one we made was Reflexes, which brought us the ability to both do task management and workforce planning. And then I would also note the Antuit acquisition, which gave us demand sensing, which is critical when you look at the retail environment. So those are three of the really important acquisitions in retail software. Now let's jump to robotics. So there's really one key acquisition we made here, and this is a Fetch Robotics, and it brought us a large portfolio of robotic solutions, everything from fulfillment or picking to a conveyance or material movement. So a whole raft of different form factors that allow us to play and help revolutionize what's happening in a warehouse from a robotics perspective. And lastly, let's talk about machine vision. So we've made a couple key acquisitions here. One is Adaptive Vision, which brought us some deep machine vision algorithms. And then we have Matrox, which we completed most recently. And this is a scaled business, a mature business, a machine vision that has a large portfolio of machine vision software and hardware solutions, which are really going to help propel us into being a significant player in machine vision. And this augments our own fixed industrial scanning portfolio that we launched within the last year or so. So a number of key acquisitions in all three of these areas.
I want to switch directions slightly and now talk about the people behind all of this, because hearing you lay out these investments in innovation and acquisition, it sounds like it could be a really compelling and exciting place to work for anyone who's interested in the use of AI, whether it's on the analytics side, computer vision, machine learning, robotics. As somebody who sits at the highest table on human resources, and you look at the investment on the people side, can you talk to us a little bit about what the roadmap looks like for Zebra in investment into AI on a people standpoint? And part of what you and I spoke about previously was the environment at Zebra, how you've cultivated a really unique culture, particularly on the technology side. Can you give us some insight into what it looks like and maybe hint at some of the great opportunities there would be for people who are working in the AI and data field?
Yeah, I think that I want to take a little bit of trip back in history. One of the best decisions that our CEO, Anders Gustafsson, has made over the years, in my opinion, is as the company grew, we grew, as you mentioned, we're over 50 years old. But back a few years back in 2014, the company was about a $1 billion in revenue barcode printing company. That was our heritage. And that $1 billion company bought a $2.5 billion roughly revenue carve out of Motorola. Now, that decision to make that kind of acquisition, you rarely see a company successfully integrate a carve out of a company that's 2.5 times its size. But making that decision was important, but I don't think it was the most important decision. To make it successful, Anders made a decision that we needed to create our own culture at this new combined company. And as culture is the undoing of many an acquisition, and I think this one's been tremendously successful. We've grown the business since 2014 in a significant way, and you can certainly look some of that success up. But I think a lot of that is due to the culture. And we very intentionally built and selected our values. We selected our vision, our enterprise asset intelligent vision, and the parameters we wanted to have around our culture. The idea of when we're in meetings, we want to be here now is one example of that. We often say we want to share puzzle pieces and work as a team. And we not only talk about these things, we live it. And when I talk to employees, what's one of the strongest attributes that keeps people at Zebra is that, right? Is that culture that we have, that open door policy, the ability to go in and talk to anyone, the kind of authentic nature of our culture is what really keeps people here. Now, in terms of opportunities, we have a host of opportunities in all our business, right? From the core to machine vision to robotics to retail software. And we'd love for people to apply. And I'd always ask people, go to our career site. If you're interested in an opportunity, there's literally hundreds to choose from. We'd love to hear from you. That's the best way to get access to all the jobs out there, is to focus on our career site at zebra.com. And we'd love to have you and love to join the team, join the herd, as we like to say, and be part of this incredible culture.
Thank you for that, Jeff. I think it's a great overview of Zebra as a whole, and really speaks to how you guys have remained so successful. And it's through innovation, investment, and looking at what's next. Because to be a dominating force of barcodes back in the 70s to now where you're at, fully integrated in frontline retail, is incredible. And particularly exciting is the AI side. You guys are ranked as consistently as being one of the best places to work in tech, and the investment in AI is great to hear. So I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on and talking to us today. And we wish you, the team, and everyone at Zebra the best of luck in the years to come.
Thanks, JP.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Alldus podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any Android podcast of choice. You can also head over to our website, www.alldus.com, to listen to more podcasts, view our open roles, and stay up to date with industry news. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more great episodes coming very soon.